today there is the three of us. My name is Arzu. I'm one of the co-founders of Design to Connect. We have Hadil here, another co-founder of Design to Connect, and we have Tyler.
Hello.
So I'm gonna start sharing my screen. So we give you an idea of who we are, what we do, and then we will go to the next part of the workshop, which is more of a conversation between all of us.
So either good morning or good afternoon to all the participants that we have here today. So thank you so much for joining us. As Arzu said, so we are both the co-founders of Design to Connect, and we are very delighted to be joined today with Tyler, whom we also met over LinkedIn. And this is actually the same way that Arzu and I met. A few months back, I think it was like around September, we met over LinkedIn because we shared the same opinions that we were facing towards our architectural industry. And we decided that why not share these conversations that we were having in person with like in a podcast, so we can actually start reflecting with people, like-minded people, about some of the issues that we are facing in the industry, and for us to learn more about the different venues of what architects can do, whether it's the mainstream, social, and for us to learn how we can do better from those people that experienced similar situations before. So today we decided to have this workshop so we can actually connect with the audience and connect with more designers and architects out there that share some of the same frustrations that we all are. So welcome, and we're very excited to start this workshop, our first workshop with you. So
yeah, and the video that you just saw, it was bits and pieces of our first season. It actually have voice, so if you go to our YouTube channel, you can with the name of Design to Connect. So this is about Hadil and I. Then we have Tyler, and we have a little bit of his bio here, but I will let him talk about himself. So Tyler.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. For me, this is a good morning. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're bumming in from. My name is Tyler Suomala. I work on the business development team at Monograph. Monograph is basically a practice operations platform that helps architects and architecture firms better manage their team, better manage their projects, so that ideally everyone on their team is working as many hours as they want them to work, which is hopefully 40. We can avoid burnout, we can get everyone on the same page and just help firms to really flourish. I am an ex-architect in that sense, because I'm only working really tangential to it now. And most of my role at this point is to consult with firm leaders and better understand what challenges they're facing in their firm. So usually I'm speaking with principals, partners, owners of firms to understand the challenges that they're seeing in their firm. And I don't get an opportunity to talk to everyone in the firm, which is why I'm really excited about today, to understand what challenges you're also facing. I'm assuming that they're probably relatively similar to what we've all faced when we've worked in firms. I've worked in firms both large and small, but just having a better understanding of what challenges are really felt, I think all the way through the firm is really important. So excited to chat with all of you today. I think you're muted, Arzu. Are you? I don't hear you. Am I the only one that doesn't hear? Hadil, do you hear?
no.
Oh no.
So I think
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, so we have to start with an icebreaker. You can go to menti.com and put the code that is on the screen, or just scan the QR code with your phone. and we are going to answer to a question about where we are all from, so we all can get an idea of how international we are here. So I will let
146.
you guys enter the Menti. So I'll wait 1 more minute till everybody can scan, and then we can go on.
Are we supposed to see the question after we jump in, Arzu?
No.
Or okay, you got it. Perfect.
Tyler, maybe you can copy the code in the chat. So if someone wants to join after, I think I'm gonna go to the next page.
For sure. 9146, 1996. You're good.
Thank you. Okay, so where are you from and where do you live? It's if both of these questions have the same answer, you can just give one answer. If you lived in more than one place, you can also put the country name here. Okay, the answers are already coming.
Wow, check this out. This is super cool.
Wow.
Right?
I know. Yes.
Love this.
I like this. Beautiful.
I think participants from like all over. It's not like just like 2 cities.
No. Okay, it seems we had more than one person from India. It's the biggest for now. Let's see. Let's wait a couple of seconds.
Oh, is everything relative? That's cool. So it's going to get larger if there's more answers.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. So if someone joined right now, there in the chat you can find the code that you can join Menti, and you can write where you're from and where you live now. If you want to add your answers, I'm gonna wait 1 more minute and then we can go on. Anyway, everybody's very fast in this version. We got the answers super fast. Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. When we are speaking with architects here, right? We're all expert technologists at this point.
I know.
To Southern California and Los Angeles. Send everyone the perfect weather.
I know. It seems I'm just in the cloudy place. Okay, I think I can stop sharing at this point. Okay. So just to give you guys an idea, I don't know how many of you read the description of the event of today, or any of the 1,000 posts that we posted in the last 2 weeks. But basically, the idea behind this workshop is to understand the relationship between architecture and impact. And when we are talking about impact, we mean both the impact that architecture as an industry has on us, and then also the impact that we as architects then have on the industry, but also on our planet, on the environment that we are living in. So we kind of wanted to, with the help of you, of course, to understand both of these type of impacts. right now, unfortunately, at least based on what I think, both of these impacts are not very positive. So neither architecture has a very great impact on us, and neither we have a good impact on the environment that we live in. So then after talking about these issues, we would like to consult with you, talk with you, have a discussion, and understand how we can have some solutions to these issues that we are both facing as architects and the industry is facing as a whole. So Tyler now will explain how the workshop would work, actually. So
yeah, perfect. So we're just going to pull up another Menti presentation. We're going to ask you all a few. Are we going to go a question at a time, Arzu, or are we going to go like multiple questions at once and then?
I think we go one question, then we have a
Okay,
discussion.
cool. Yeah. So we're going to ask a question and we're going to begin gathering answers. We're going to choose whatever those common themes are based on everyone's answers here, and then we'll pause and have a longer discussion about those themes. So relatively simple walkthrough, but everyone's thoughts and opinions are going to matter here. So we're really excited to chat about it.
Great. Just I need 1 second before I share the screen. So we can have, again, the elevator song playing.
Should have gotten the Jeopardy song to play here in the background.
Okay. So I'm going to be sharing the screen again. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we have another QR code. Tyler, if you can go on and write the code. And if
oops, oh shoot. Don't copy that one. Classic. That one.
Okay, so we're gonna wait just a couple of more seconds for everyone to join.
The Menti results were so cool, though. I'm really excited to. I like the way that it presents them.
Yeah, it's very beautifully presented for us architects. It's nice.
All right, I'm assuming we're all on, yeah?
Yeah, I couldn't get in yet, but okay, I think we can go. So the first question is, what are some issues that you're facing as an architect? This can be anything, just write anything that comes to your mind, and you can give more than one answer. So if you submit, you can submit a second answer after that.
And think about it, like, is it some of the issues that you're facing in your workplace? Is it some of the issues you're facing as in, dealing with the clientele? Is it something in, like, if you do social architecture, you face in like policy making with the community, so overall, your overall experience.
Thank you, Adia.
And it could also be based on if you like, like your thought of how you thought why did you do architecture, the outcome that came out of that post-school, post-graduation.
Exactly. So we have 2 burnouts here. We have unpaid work. We have communicating the value in the beginning. Yeah, that's a good one. Lack of motivation, lack of meaning, no freedom to explore in your ideas. getting paid well, getting paid what I am worth. I have trained 10 years and practiced full-time for 11 years. Wow.
Yes, big issue there.
Mm-hmm.
How about uncertainties about your job duties as well?
Yeah. I'm gonna add uncertainties for you. So unpaid internship, lack of correlation between education and practice, for sure, building and sustaining the team, uncertainties.
Maybe the lack of correlation between different professions as well, you know, like when we deal with different consultants, we feel like, you know, it's we should have a better communication between the different stakeholders.
Definitely. I added it. Lack of correlation between stakeholders, getting larger projects. Now, I think, okay, let's wait 2 more minutes before I jump into conclusions.
Yeah.
Either are you shocked with these answers, or are those things that you expected to see?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think at this point I'm not shocked by anything. I think as you both have probably experienced, the more that you begin like actually opening up these conversations, yeah, the more you realize that I think it tends to be more of a rare occurrence that you find someone working in architecture that is, let's say, like fully satisfied with how everything is operating. So I can't say I'm too surprised by these.
No, definitely. And the interesting thing is that we are like practicing architecture from like in very different places. And
right.
The issues are still the same.
Yeah, we still have universal things, balancing all the activities that are required to be done. Yes.
Definitely, time management.
Yes.
I think another issue is that advancement in technology that we yet are still very behind. And you know, like I feel like with Dynamo, with Revit, and all those new technologies that are coming, we're not really incorporating them well into making our work more efficient.
That's true. So lack of efficiency.
Yeah. Architecture does tend to lag a solid decade behind everyone in technology adoption and efficiencies. So that's not, yeah, I think that's definitely true as well.
And not being updated. I don't know, how could I put that better? Paying self, not being updated.
Building and sustaining the team. Yeah. Lack of efficiency. These are good to talk about.
I know. Okay, now we should choose like 3 main themes to talk about. I think like the payment is for sure something that is recurring in so many of the answers. I
feel like I would almost group it as like worth, right? So I think there's 2 versions of worth that we're seeing here. One, we're seeing like the worth that you're feeling as though, or that architects are feeling as though they're giving. So this idea of like lack of motivation or uncertainty of unpaid internships, like, so there's that lack of worth, and there's also the worth on the side of the individual and the value that they're providing to their team, like making sure that they're getting paid for what they feel like they deserve.
Definitely.
Those things, unpaid internships.
True. And yeah, then management and efficiency could be maybe another point that we can talk about, like balancing the activities, making a team, sustaining a team. Yeah, the lack of efficiency. If you guys want to jump in and you think there's another thing that it's more important to talk about, you can just say, otherwise I just stop sharing so we can have a discussion about this first question.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and let's go.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, maybe let's open it up just based on, let's start like on the first one based on like worth, like what challenges are people facing? And you can either post this in the comments, or you can just start talking about it, but what challenges are people facing with maybe trying to make their worth to their firm known? Do you feel as though, you know, like what struggles are you facing on that end?
Core management.
Or management, absolutely.
Definitely. So, Tyler, based on your experience, maybe you can explain how can we make this worth, like how can we communicate our worth to the management level, or and then maybe it can be an icebreaker for other.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's always on a case-by-case basis, right? But there's always two ways to make the change, right? It's either going to be bottom up or top down. So bottom up is, you know, is the employees getting together and realizing, hey, we're worth more than what we're being paid. We're adding a lot more value, and you know, voicing those concerns and those feelings to leadership. The other way is leadership down, which is typical. Like that's the way that I am more used to working with it, at least on my side from Monograph, which is that the firm leaders like recognize that they're falling short in terms of the way that they're managing their team, right? And they just don't have the resources in place currently and the knowledge and the access to the data that they need in order to make more informed decisions that will have more positive impacts on their team and help them to better manage them, help them better manage their time and their tasks so that they're not overworking. And eventually, the nice thing about that is like that can carry its way through, right? So as you begin to become more efficient in your processes, the firm begins operating better. The firm begins to be able to take on more projects. They can earn more money, and they can give that back to their team as well. So it's one of those things where I never feel like it's like an immediate, you know, it's not an immediate exchange. You can't just like, sometimes, you know, I think it can go either way. You know, sometimes firms just don't have the resources, unfortunately, to you know, add that value back to the people. But if you look more long term at it, you can definitely begin, you know, developing better processes and put more better processes in place so that your team can flourish in the future and begin to grow.
That's so true. Thank you.
And also, I would like to add a point. I feel like because we always look at it as an architect from an employee standpoint, but we have to look at it also from an architect from a firm perspective. So if I'm an owner of, like I'm an architect and I own a firm, I need to understand the struggle that they're going through with, like, who's paying us, right? So there's that issue with how we feel like we're undervalued to the actual client. So the client is not valuing us or valuing our service enough for us to be getting paid what we're worth. So therefore, it impacts the people that are working, or the leadership team. So it's a more of a complex equation.
Yeah,
I feel.
That's so true.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, so many of the firm owners that I speak to are fearful of increasing their fees and increasing their percentages because they're afraid of losing out on projects, which is something, I mean, I think, you know, it's an industry-wide thing where everyone's afraid of being undercut, but then that obviously has negative ramifications on the whole firm, really. So, and the industry. We don't want that.
So Balaji is saying, first of all, everyone forgets that we are human at the office, expecting us to achieve impossible deadlines. It feels like a machine. Always collaboration and good leadership skills will make us alive and feel that we are in a good environment. And Alex is saying, I've started reading the 4 disciplines of execution to find out how to lead change in a business, not just what needs to happen.
Alex, what do you see as like the first, like what's the first step in your opinion of making kind of executing some of this change? from the business side.
And by the way, guys, you can just unmute yourself and talk. You don't have to write in chat. If you want, of course.
Yeah. Alex says, let me get the book. That's awesome.
Okay. I don't know. I think something else that comes to my mind also, I don't know if it makes sense to like if it's a thing or not, is that like we use social media like and we vent there, but then we feel that venting was the solution, because like you get out what you wanted to say, and for a while it feels like you did something. And you know, there are so many of these movements that happens in social media with the unpaid work and with the also the long hours that they talk about, but then it always stops there. So I don't know how we can, because I see a lot of people talking about this, but how we can move that one step forward to actually make a change and to make people understand that there are other people that are also feeling this way. And how can we move it forward? How can we not make it a stop only on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or a movement that just stops after a month or something?
Yeah.
I think these conversations should happen internally in between offices. Like, you know, like to have the courage to actually have those conversations with the employees and employers for us to understand the bigger picture, because sometimes we might be venting based on our own experience without seeing the full picture and understanding all the factors that might affect a certain situation. So when we start internally having conversations like this, it kind of gives you a better perspective for us to know how to deal with it or to come to a solution. But I feel like we are still scared to do that.
It's true.
Yeah. I think it's also good, like, to find what firms are doing this well. I know that it's not like it's not unheard of. I know that there's firms that are operating well, that have good cultures, that have carried these, good processes down to their team, and their team feels as though they're getting what they deserve to be paid and things like that. They're few and far between, but they do exist. So it'd be important to understand, like, how are they, modeling their firm, and how can other firms do the same thing? That's one part. I think another part is just, it's really difficult to have these conversations if you do feel as though you're in an unhealthy environment. I think we've all been like in those situations before. And I think you can say, okay, let's have a conversation with leadership, but if that culture is just not set up for that, then it's going to make it really difficult. In my opinion, in those scenarios, is that you should find another option, that you should definitely get yourself in just a healthier environment so that you can then open up those conversations and do that. It's not always easy depending on where you're at, depending on what the economy is and all of those things, but I think it puts it a little bit of the onus like on us as individuals to prioritize our own like mental health so that we can get into a situation where we can actually make change.
Alex, I think you got the book. And saying focus on 1 to 2 widely important goals, not several good ideas, as those will just get lost in the whirlwind of everyday workload. Encourage accountability, keep a scoreboard within the office, and focus on making high impact actions towards the most important goal in the office. In my last office, the owner, firm leader, was always stretched thin, overworked, and stressed out.
Yeah. The sad thing is, like, and I think I only know this now, which is maybe why it's important to come out, but like, obviously before I did run my own firm for a little bit, but I was mostly working in offices, under other people. And it's easy to get frustrated and think that it's easy to get frustrated and basically blame leadership. And obviously, I think that most of it, leadership does have the opportunity to change, but they're also experiencing a lot of the same feelings that we are. This idea of being stretched thin, of working too much, of feeling burnt out. Like, it's definitely not just. It's definitely not just. Lower level employees that are feeling that.
No, definitely. And I was reading an article a while ago, and it was talking about how also architecture is taught in education. So we have this romantic view towards architecture that we think that, for becoming this, godlike, what's it called? Persona of architect, we have to sacrifice everything that we have. Maybe a lot of it also goes to the education and how we see architects in a society. So just educating people about that architecture is a job like any other job. You do a service and you get paid for it. Maybe that could help in a long term kind of way. Alex is saying all of my coworkers wanted peer review to double check each other's work. We wanted weekly team meetings and needed more autonomy to take risks on projects, to work directly with the clients rather than just the drafters.
Love that idea. That's cool. What's next, Arzu? I think it's like one of these awkward things where it's not necessarily like the chance of us coming to a solution to be able to like resolve these issues is slim, right? But I think it's really important to talk about them and talk about different ways that they are kind of understood throughout the firm.
Definitely. I mean, of course, we are not going to solve the industry issues in a workshop of 1.5 hours, but it's important to have these conversations and just to understand there are other people that are facing the same things. So maybe we can, I don't know, wait for 2 minutes, and if there is nothing else, we can move on to the next question.
Yeah, I'd say post any closing thoughts in the chat or say them out loud right now, and then if not, we can move on to the next question.
I think I would like to add a point, but those are based on my own reflections. Like I faced a lot of those issues that we just stated is because of that idea of what I thought architecture is. So I had this ideal image in my head of what I'm going to be doing as an architect, and then was faced with the reality. So that, again, that lack of connection, like lack of understanding from pre-graduation of what my duties are going to be and my responsibilities made me appreciate what I'm doing even less. And I think that's a issue. Like if maybe I was like, we were prepped enough to understand that what the reality of the work is, we would not be as feeling very low or unappreciated maybe. That's my own reflection.
Okay, so if there is nothing else, we can maybe move on to the next question. I'm gonna be sharing my screen again. So Tyler, if you could repost the code for the people that joined later, you can go to menti.com and write the code that Tyler will write in the chat now. If you're already in Menti, you can answer what are the negative impacts of architecture. So this can be on the environment, on the social structure of the world, on the economy, on anything. So yeah, let us know what you think. Okay, we have the first answer, greenwashing. Environmental, we need more wood burning for larger scale projects. Climate change. We have gentrification.
Maybe like the final product versus the consumer need.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so architect as a product. Architecture. Individualism, final product versus consumer need, architecture as a product. Regionalism, producing extremely egoistical people that lose touch with the real world. That's true.
All right, probably what, like 30 more seconds or so to add any more thoughts? Segregation, yeah. And then we'll wrap up to a conversation again.
Yeah. Losing rainforest.
maybe creating like consistent module that's been, well, I guess that could be under gentrification.
Mm. Okay. What I see, it's basically, I mean, if we want to group the answers that are given, we have basically some environmental impacts that we don't want to be having, and some social impacts in the society. So we have greenwashing, climate change, losing rainforests, the materiality that we use in our architecture. Then we have some social issues that we are creating: individualism, regionalism, segregation, gentrification. We don't care about what the consumer needs, but the final product, we care about the final product. So yeah, overconsumption, definitely. So maybe now we can talk about how we could like address those issues in our work environments. How can we talk about them? And how can we have an honest conversation?
How would you group these? I'd say maybe like there's obviously like climate issues, and then there's social issues, it seems like. Maybe
Definitely. Exactly. So we have environmental impacts and social
environmental
impacts. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing. So okay.
I think we should definitely have more knowledge about different building materials that we can use out there, rather than us, we just repeating the same materials over and over. We need to re-educate ourselves, or start like thinking about what other materials we can start using that can give us the aesthetic look, that can be also environmentally friendly, and also understand, like what when we say a sustainable building or a green building, doesn't mean that it just needs to check the boxes of a certain certificate, or should we go beyond that? Redefining like the concept of sustainability.
Curious, do you think that like the aesthetics of the material are what get in the way most of the time? Like, do all of you see your firms making choices of aesthetics over environment on a consistent basis? So, we're not going to see these changes come and really have a positive impact on the environment until the aesthetics of more environmentally friendly materials actually improve?
Not really. I think it's cost-based. I think cost always over rule even the aesthetic aspect.
Interesting.
But again, this is based on my opinion. I don't know if it's like everywhere, or based on my experience.
I'm posting. I mean, feel free to open it up in the chat, things like that. What's everyone seeing as possible solutions? I know that we're all facing these challenges.
I think sometimes we should go to the root cause of why cost is becoming a driving force. I think the first part of the conversation is basically the root causes to the second part of conversation, like the lack of time, the lack of money that exists in this industry leads to us not having enough time first to build or think about designs that care about every aspect. Like we overproduce so much, again, because we are not paid well, so we have to overproduce so much. And then all of these aspects get together, become the root causes for us then to affect our environmental and social spaces in a negative way. So maybe a starting point would be, again, to go to how architecture is impacting us. So as healthy and educated architects, then later we can impact our environment in a more positive way. So Crystal is saying cost is a driving force, definitely.
Yeah, that's a great point though, Arzu. I mean, it really does start with the individuals, right? So if we're not educated enough to make those informed decisions and understanding what their impacts are, then it's going to be really difficult to make that change. And I think that's probably what we're seeing now, is that we have a lot of firm owners and firm leaders that have to retroactively kind of understand the impacts that they've had up to this point, and they have to actively gain that knowledge in order to make more informed decisions, which is much harder to do, after things are already happening, rather than while you're actually, gaining your education in architecture.
Okay.
So what was some of the other answers that were shared there that we can have, like talk about gentrification and segregation? especially with like, first of all, I would really like to know from the participants' perspective if they see some of the developments that are happening as healthy developments, or do they see them as gentrification, and why is that? Just because that we're building residential buildings or condominiums and nice development, but if no one that's actually living in the city or in those areas are able to afford those places, what should we call that? Should we call that as like, is this considered a successful development, or is this considered a poor development? Because we're providing with the needs, but we're not really the person that's actually requires this product is not able to afford it.
I see that as like a lack of there's obviously a lack of alignment between what's developed and what's needed sometimes, right? So, but I think the issue there is that I personally think that architects should be trained more on how to become developers as well.
We had some tech issues, so the Zoom call got disturbed, but we are back with some of the people. So if any of you want to share any last thoughts. I actually forgot what we were talking about.
I was just trying to remember what was happening, because I think I was saying something, but I don't remember what I was saying. But either way, I think that it's just really important to continue having these conversations, to continue putting possible solutions on the table. I think what you're doing at Design to Connect is perfect. It's exactly what we need to be doing. So just keep pushing conversations, keep having these workshops, keep opening it up.
And we were hoping to get to hear from the audience as well, to what kind of questions they would like us to ask, or what kind of content, or what kind of people that we can interview, the next workshops, what can we possibly have conversations more about, so it's like more structured and have a better understanding of how we can move forward.
Yeah.
You guys do podcasts? That's your main content, I guess.
Yes, we started with it. Sorry, go ahead.
No. No, I wanted to say that Tyler does different things. He wants to talk about it, but
the Design to Connect is currently a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, now I'm following you guys, at least on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's nice.
You should subscribe to our channel as well.
Yeah. Yeah, to our YouTube channel. We have
our
also
YouTube,
Instagram.
Okay.
Also, you can find us in Spotify.
Cool. Great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. How did you hear about the workshop?
Through Tyler, and I found Tyler through this architect in Canada who I met through. He was an employee at my friend's firm in Canada, and he came to visit me. Well, he came to Los Angeles at some point, and he brought this other architect, his employee with him. So it's just through a web of connections on LinkedIn, basically, initially from a friend from college.
Fun.
University.
That's exciting to hear.
Yeah, it seems LinkedIn is creating a lot of connections between people that need.
Sure.
Nice.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think something is just not to be scared to talk about these things and to acknowledge that problems exist. I think so many firms and like the world of architecture just wants to say that no, everything is fine, everything is going great. We just show beautiful renders in magazines. Nobody talks about the problems. So just acknowledging the existence of a problem is already a good step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are in the architecture business and work for architects are they're a different type of people than accountants or engineers. They're not motivated by the same things as MBAs, people who focus on business development or management or marketing. They're people who are motivated more by artistic, and they're motivated by beauty. So monetizing beauty is it's a hairy thing. It's hard to quantify. And yeah, I've enjoyed Tyler's posts on LinkedIn because they're very matter of fact, and they're very succinct, very straight and to the point, which is yeah, it's hard to quantify architecture. It's hard to quantify the struggles.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's just
go on.
You're right. No, I was just gonna say, I think honestly, I feel like it's the people that are commenting that I feel like are more brave than I am. Like, I'm only working adjacent to architecture now, which is why, which has given me, I think, a lot more freedom to bring up a lot of these topics, because I'm not working directly in a firm anymore. Even though I work with firm owners all the time. But yeah, I think it's also given me, I think, stepping just slightly adjacent to architecture, not working directly in it, has really helped give me the perspective of understanding the challenges at a more macro level, which has been really nice.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited about the future, because now that we're working so much more remote, I think it's going to give people the opportunity to just connect with other architects and work more collaboratively, no matter where you are in the world. So typically the architecture firm environment in an office or a small office or even a large office is there's a very strong culture that everyone has to adhere to, and it's typically toxic in some way, because it's mostly men and they don't really talk about their feelings. They don't really talk about their struggles. They don't really talk about anything other than deadlines, and it just becomes a deadline curse every week or every month. And it's really disheartening to be a part of that, and not to be a part of the greater vision for the business itself, because at the end of the day, it's a business, not a passion,
Yeah.
But people are always confused whether or not they should be passionate or they should be more in a business mindset. And really, at the end of the day, it's a service that you have to get paid to do. And a lot of people don't want to face that fact. They just want to feel like you're being chosen because of the beautiful paintings that you've created, and you have all these patrons that are just giving you money to continue to create paintings, but that's detached from reality. That's not really how it is.
So true.
So
yeah,
I'm excited.
You're exactly
to,
right. You're exactly right.
Have remote. I'm excited to have remote workers. That's the current struggle, and that's my number one wildly important goal, is to connect and sustain like-minded people who can collaborate when things are busy, and then go and be independent when things are slow, and just kind of ebb and flow with the market, rather than feeling like you have to hire 10 employees when things are busy and then fire 9 employees when things are slow.
Yeah.
And whip them during the busy times and then kick them out when they're done, when it's done. It's just not a healthy environment.
That's an interesting model, to come together to work when work is needed, and then work independently when it's not.
Yeah, just working on per project. I mean, it's the same at an architecture firm. You're working per project. You're billing a client per project for your hours, and And when that project's over, you know, you can decide to continue to work with that architect or go work for another architect for a project. I mean, some of these projects in more regulated areas could last 5, 6, 7 years. So you could basically do 5 years at with one architect and another 5 years with another architect, and then do 5 years by on your own. And then that's how it should be. Like you're almost like a traveling tradesperson.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. That's my vision.
Beautiful.
Keep pushing it. Yeah, keep pushing it. Well, Arzu and Gavin, I have to jump off.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think it's time. It was
Hi,
great
guys.
to have you all. So
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to the next workshop. So let me know when Design to Connect is doing it again.
yeah,
I'll
for sure.
jump in.
I think we'll take a summer break.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Do that again.
All right. Nice chatting.
Thank you, Tyler, for being here.
See you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Gavin. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.